Imagine having the power to make her think about sex with you while you're talking about something completely innocent. Machiavelli knew that the most lethal influence is the one that can't be seen coming. In the next few minutes, you'll discover the conversation topics that awaken her most intimate side, the strategies that turn casual talks into sexual escalation, and why some men make women desire them deeply without taking any risky moves. It all comes down to knowing the right doors in her mind. And today, I'll give you the keys to open them, one by one. So hit the like button. Let's get to what really matters. Look, there are exactly 4 ways to escalate an interaction toward intimacy. The first is physical contact, a touch on the arm, getting closer, creating proximity. The second is changing the environment, taking her somewhere more private, more comfortable, more intimate. The third is relational language, shifting from you and me to us, building verbal complicity. But the fourth is the most powerful of all, steering the conversation into sexual territory without her realizing you're escalating. It's like painting a picture in her mind, stroke by stroke, until suddenly she's thinking about you in a completely different way. Why does this work? Because our mind runs on associations. When we hear certain words or topics, we automatically connect them to related ideas. It's like a chain. There is something invisible that gets activated in the mind, and we cannot control it. If you make her think about adventure, rebellion, and spontaneity, her mind will start to connect those ideas with you. And those ideas naturally create sexual attraction. The reason these keys work is something Machiavelli understood very well. Real power is not about using force. It's about guiding thoughts slowly and quietly in the direction you want. He knew that the person who controls the conversation also controls the result. The genius of this strategy is that you don't need extreme courage. You don't risk direct rejection. You don't have to make sudden moves that can ruin everything in seconds. It is escalation without danger, seduction without exposure. But here's the secret most men never discover. Not every topic has the same power. Some topics are like master keys that open many doors in her mind, while others only touch the surface. And if you want to truly master this art, you must know exactly which topic to use and when. Look, if this makes sense to you, you are probably the type of person who prefers smart strategy over blind luck. Subscribe to this channel because what comes next will completely change the way you talk to women. Now let me show you the exact topics that work like conversational dynamite. Each one of these topics is a psychological weapon designed to awaken specific parts of her sexual nature. Machiavelli wrote about knowing human weaknesses in order to influence decisions. In the same way, these are the weak points in conversation that open the door to intimacy. The first topic is alcohol and parties. When you bring up conversations about bars, drinks, wild nights, or party experiences, you activate direct associations in her mind with freedom, letting go, and making quick choices. Why does this work? Because alcohol, even when only talked about, connects her mentally to moments when social rules were low, when she felt more free, more bold, and more open to taking risks, including sexual risks. The second topic is tattoos and piercings. This is not an accident. When a woman talks about body art, she is really showing her connection to rebellion, breaking social rules, and expressing herself without limits. A woman who gets a tattoo or piercing is showing that she is not afraid of pain if the result is worth it. That mindset, that willingness to go through intensity, also transfers to her sexual life. When you talk about this, you awaken the part of her that looks for stronger, more intense experiences. The third topic is travel and adventure, especially spontaneous ones. When a woman talks about that trip she took alone, that unplanned adventure, or that moment she stepped out of her comfort zone, she is activating her most free and adventurous self. And that adventurous self is the same one that makes unexpected sexual decisions. Talking about travel means talking about freedom, breaking routines, and living new experiences, all of which translate into a mind that is more open to seduction. The fourth topic is late-night activities, clubs, concerts, midnight walks, adventures after 12. All of these connect with her most spontaneous and rebellious side. The night has always been the space of the forbidden, the unexpected, the sexual. When you bring up these topics, you are speaking her night language. where the rules of the day do not apply. But here is the detail that makes the difference. It's not just about mentioning these topics, it's about how you bring them up, how you develop them, and how you connect them with specific emotions. Each topic needs to be activated in the right way to create the reaction you want. And what comes next is even more powerful. How to use these master keys without looking obvious, without sounding desperate, and how to make her escalate the conversation towards something even more intimate. Now that you know the master keys, you must learn how to open them without making a sound. Machiavelli understood that perfect execution is invisible, and in seduction, the most powerful technique is the one she never sees coming. The first thing you must master is direct language without apology. When you talk about these topics, use the real words, not weak or indirect ones. If you talk about undressing, say undressing. If you talk about being hot, say being hot. The power comes from the comfort with which you say these words. A single word said with natural confidence has more impact than 1,000 nervous hints. But here is the secret. When you use stronger words, lower your voice just a little. Don't whisper like a creep. Simply create a moment of vocal intimacy. This makes her pay closer attention, and that extra attention connects her more deeply to what you are saying. The most powerful tool is what I call the question game. Here's how it works. You suggest taking turns asking each other questions, and both must answer honestly. You start with something that sounds innocent, like, have you ever gotten a tattoo or piercing? Or, what's the craziest party you've ever been to? Here's the genius. When she answers, she will automatically ask you a question back. And since you already set the rule that it's a game of honesty, she will feel she must play along. As the question game continues, she will naturally start asking more intimate questions. You are not the one pushing things forward. She is the one choosing to ask more and more personal questions. With every round, the level of intimacy grows. She moves from asking about tattoos to asking about sexual experiences, from travel adventures to personal fantasies. The best part is that it feels like her choice, not like you are forcing it. While this happens, your job is to answer with stories that show you as adventurous, confident, and relaxed. Don't make things up, but choose the stories that present you as a man who lives strong experiences without drama. Another powerful technique is using strong words sometimes. Saying a bold word naturally shows that you don't hide behind fake politeness. You are real, direct, and authentic. Here is what most people don't understand. Timing is everything. If you see that she is enjoying the game, asking more personal questions, laughing comfortably, this is the perfect moment to take the next step. Because once these topics are flowing naturally, the next level becomes unavoidable. And that next level is when the conversation turns into a silent invitation towards something more physical. This silent invitation happens when you master what Machiavelli would call the convergence of forces. At this point, you no longer use just one tool. You combine all forms of escalation so smoothly that she won't even notice when everything shifted. When sexual topics are already flowing, you have the perfect excuse to suggest a change of place. Hey, this conversation is too good for such a noisy place. Let's grab a drink somewhere quieter. This is no longer a random invitation. It's the natural continuation of a conversation that has become too intimate for public spaces. And here is the genius. She will accept because she feels the conversation deserves privacy. She doesn't think she is agreeing to a date. She feels she is protecting the intimacy of a personal talk. Once you're in a more private place, physical contact becomes natural. When you tell her about a crazy adventure you had, you can touch her arm to highlight the adrenaline of the story. When she shares something personal, you can lean closer to show you are really listening. Every touch is justified by the emotion of the moment. But the biggest change happens in language. You start using we instead of you and me. We're the kind of people we like adventure. We're not the type who... This small but powerful shift makes her feel like you are already a team, more than just two strangers. And if you ever feel you are moving too fast, there are two safety techniques that never fail. The first is using third-person stories. A friend once told me this crazy story. This way, You can bring up very intimate topics without making it directly about you. The second safety technique is using hypotheticals. If we were stuck on a deserted island, what would our survival rules be? This lets you explore fantasies and intimate situations under the safe cover of "it's just a game." But here is what truly separates masters from beginners. Knowing when to stop talking is the key. When you feel that sexual tension has reached its peak, when she looks at you in that special way, when the silence between you is charged with electricity, let that moment breathe. Don't fill it with more words. Let it exist. Let her feel that tension, because in that exact moment, her mind is doing what you planned from the very beginning. She's thinking of you in a sexual way. She's imagining what could happen. She's feeling the attraction you built word by word. The conversational power you've created now transforms into sexual magnetism. You no longer need techniques because you have become the technique. You no longer need strategies because you are the strategy. And the most beautiful part of all is this: when the inevitable finally happens, she will feel it was her choice, her desire, her initiative. She will never know that every word, every topic, every moment was carefully designed to bring you both exactly here. That, my friend, is seduction in its purest and most lethal form. Now you hold something most men will never have: the power to lead any conversation exactly where you want it to go. You don't depend on luck, on the perfect moment, or on the stars aligning. You have the tools to create desire word by word, but the real power comes with practice. Go out there and use them. Every conversation is a chance to sharpen your art. Hit the like button if this changed your perspective. Subscribe, because I have more strategies that will completely transform your game. And in the comments, share one tip that could help other men improve with women. Community building, brother. See you in the next one.